fenced in and guarded by uh, some Filipinos. And if you didn't pay your insurance, then the guards would stand right there and watch the thieves come and empty out your house and not say a word to them. They might even open the gate for them. But if you paid your insurance every month to the lieutenant of the guard, uh, they'd kill the guy that even attempted to crawl over your fence. In the Philippines, the idea was that they hadn't stolen anything from you until they left uh, your house. And I'm talking about your yard and over the fence and out in the street, and then you were a thief. But if you were standing around in the yard with a TV on your back, you still hadn't stolen that. And they had a training school in Manila to train these guys to 1 foot on the wall and in a run, and he was over the fence and gone. Because this was not too long after the war, and the people had nothing, so place to get it was from GIs. On base, the housing was all up on stilts, and the guys that had television would get under the house, screw long screws through the floor into the legs of the TV or the stereo or whatever it was a prized possession, and then it would take a board and nail that or screws in it to hold it to the floor underneath so that the heads of the screws were covered up. So, and then a lot of them locked their kids in the bedroom at night. So it was risky business. This is Anita and Larry, and Steve didn't get to make this trip with us. It was a interesting tour, to say the least. We had a little sign made up there. This is out at Crow Valley. They're doing a firepower demonstration and had some VIP out here, and as a result they also had some villagers. That was an Igorot village that was close to the base, and they came out and put on some little ceremonial dancing and that sort of thing to entertain the VIP until the airplanes got started. There you see two fighters that are going to do some strafing runs, drop a bomb, and then some napalm at the last. Kind of hard to see them with this. Camera wasn't too good, and that was just a strafing run. Trying to demonstrate the ability to provide close ground support for troops on the ground. There's a little napalm drop. Okay, this is Lucy Majors. She and Bill lived in the house on the next street right behind us, and they were on their way to church here. Bill was the radar maintenance man. We kind of hung out together around the clubs and that sort of thing. And this is Nita Mae. Larry playing with his top. Now this is Good Friday, and these people are going through all of this as a show of faith. They either have illness in the family or sins to confess or illness in themselves, I guess, but they do this and they're roped to these crosses, and the three best are selected out of what is considered to be most authentic or the most punishment, and then they're erected on a hillside up the edge of town. But they do this in a way of penance to either cure the illness or forgiveness of their sins, and it's always a big event on Good Friday. And these crosses are made out of some heavy wood, and the ropes are bound so tight that they cut the circulation, and their legs and arms become numb, and so it's a pretty grueling task for them to go through this. And there's Anita and our house girl Trini. These guys have bamboo strips that are quartered, and that leaves a sharp edge on them. And as they whip them back and forth across their back, you can see that it cuts the skin, not deeply, but enough to let blood ooze out. And you're standing on the side as they swing that stuff, and the blood gets splattered all over everyone. This particular fellow has got teak wood, and that stuff, inch for inch, is as heavy as concrete. And his arms going numb and legs going numb. Here's another one passed out. That's Anita in the red, of course, and Trini beside her, and Larry down there with the short haircut. I try to save all the articles that I run across about this event, and I have, I think, 4 or 5 of them now. Here's some young people standing out here watching the proceedings. This is Larry and Anita and Trini, I guess. Now, they're in a jeepney, but this thing in front of them is a Kalisa. It's a little 2-wheel cart pulled by a small Filipino pony. And I think it costs you something like 5 centavos or something like that for a ride. But this town that we lived in, which was Angeles, which is outside of the base by about 2 miles, and within the town of Angeles is this compound. It's like you got a gated community here now. This is like a gated community, but it's guarded by Filipinos, and you pay your security and all of that and rent to live out here. But it's a nice, safe community. You can do whatever and not be bothered as long as you pay your insurance. If you don't pay your insurance, well then, of course, you're in trouble. But this town of Angeles is known as the city of 1,000 Kalisas. So that means they got a bunch of those things running around as taxi cabs. That's Guard Shack. And the new gate is ours. I'm having trouble with my remote control. I'm going to back it up here just a little bit. This is a jeepney. This is a World War II Jeep that was left there, and all of this modification that you see is mostly out of beer cans because that's the only metal that they had available, but just junk metal that they have made these things into taxi cabs and decorated them up, and of course they'd like to have them all prettied up to attract people to ride in them. But if you there are no parts really available to them to repair these things, so they got about 2 rounds of play in the steering wheel, and again, it costs you very little to ride in them. That's Anita and that's Trini, and of course there comes Larry. Well, this is what they do to the Jeep. Makes it, I guess, a pretty entertaining thing for tourists or people like us. That's me relaxing, ordering a cold drink. And there comes a cold drink, expressing my appreciation for the service. Now, here we are at a place about halfway up to an R&R center, Baguio. I had been on a trip to Vietnam and had come back, and these vehicles, like this Ford station wagon, you could rent those from Special Services for $15 a day with driver. Now, if you had an overnight, then you were expected to pay for the driver's food and for his lodging, which totally probably less than an American dollar at the time. And we had broken down because the water hose on the radiator had burst, and we had to call back to the base and get them to send another vehicle out, and so we could go on, and then they got a replacement hose and fixed it up. But anyway, we got another vehicle and kept the same driver. So we're loading up and back on our way again. Now this is on the road up to Baguio. It's a waterfall. It didn't turn out too well. on film, and that's a village down in the valley. Now these buses were their normal mode of transportation. You notice stuff piled up on the top. All the bus stops had two layers or two levels, stairs going up to the upper level. And that's when people went out to wait for the bus while they put whatever they were going to take with them up on the upper level, and then sit on the lower level and wait for the bus. And then when the bus got there, well, then they had to go up on the upper level and take their stuff and put it on top of the bus. And maybe chickens or maybe a pig or whatever they're hauling, and it was their responsibility to get it up there and get it secured. And as you notice, when this bus turns a curve here, that the whole side is open, and these are wooden benches, and the people just get in and slide over to their left until the bench is full, and if somebody's got to get out that's on the way over on the left, then all the people have to get out because it's so crowded you can't just get up and move out. But you don't walk to the front of the bus and get out like we do. And they load everything to the hilt. Here we are at Baguio. Nothing up there. This is at a village just outside of the Baguio compound where they did a lot of carvings, and most of them were horrible. They'd have like a hatchet in the guy's skull, or somebody cutting somebody's head off, or something like that. But they carved these things. I forget the name of the people, and that's Anita. We're going up to have breakfast from our cabin. But there's just no radio, no TV. Got a little fireplace, and nice and quiet and peaceful. And this is really in the off season for this place. Normally it's pretty well, there it is. It's a lodge, and there's a rooms there that you can rent in the lodge if the cabins are full, or if you'd rather stay there, because normally they have dining area in there, and they have a dance floor, and they have music and that sort of thing for entertainment. But like I said, this is off season, and wasn't any of that going on there. And the only place that you could eat was at this 19th hole, which is a little cafe type thing that served good food, but wasn't any large facility. And right there, that green spot is number 1 tee, and it goes down the hill, across that road, and that other green spot up there is the green for number 1. And this is Larry wanting to play a little golf or hit some golf balls. It costs you 25 cents for a bucket of balls, which is probably got somewhere between 25 and 30 golf balls in it. You got a guy who puts a tee in the ground, puts the ball on the tee, you hit the ball, and then there's 2 guys down there that are picking up the golf balls as you hit them. So it's a pretty cheap arrangement. reason this is out of focus is because this is a new camera that I just got, and I wasn't real good at getting it focused yet and proper use of it. That's Filipino flag and American flag, of course. In this, I was just panning around trying to see what the camera was going to do and show a little of the gardened area around the place. Also, I wanted to check out the telescopic ability of the thing to see how far out I could get to an object. Those are houses on top of the hill over there. Telephoto didn't go too far, but it was better than the cameras I'd had before. Now this is in the, I kind of got these mixed up. I wasn't sure how good they ran. But these little bicycles were taxis in this little town where we broke down. And that square box that you see sitting out there in the middle of the street is a policeman's box. He directs traffic and just kind of the cop on the street if there's any trouble. Well, he's right there to help out with it. But mostly it's a traffic station. And again, it was just pennies to ride in one of these things. The guy on a bicycle, and he's got a little sidecar, and it'll hold two people. There's one of them. Larry checking it out to make sure it's stable enough to ride in, I guess. That's me and some guy that was there at the filling station where we had broken down, and so I couldn't talk to him, he couldn't talk to me, but I gave him a cigarette anyway. Neither one of us understood what the other one was saying. I did have some black hair at that time, though. And there's the two little carts that we rode in. Nita and Larry rode in the front, and I rode in the back.